Part 51. Fantasy. After thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 508. Oh. Qin Hao was slightly stunned, but he didn't know whether he should believe this or not. Dead man, if you can't trust me, you can leave, of course. The voice seemed to know his hesitation, snorted coldly, but said no more. Well. Qin Hao didn't say anything, turned around, and strode into the sea of fire. Suddenly, Qin Hao felt a headache. The nascent soul in Danshan was also in a state of confusion. The whole person was in agony. You lied to me. Qin Hao thought he was going to die, and he was furious, with evil spirits gathering in his brows. Unexpectedly, the voice was not angry, and he said softly, I never imagined that you have so much karma in your body. That's right, looking at the evil spirit between your brows and the killing power, it's no wonder that the karma fire will find you, but it's because of that karma. This time, it is an advantage for you. If you refine your karma with karma, your cultivation speed will be much easier. The voice didn't care about his own words. Qin Hao suffered for a long time. Sure enough, although he was in pain, he still didn't want to kill him. He also believed in what the voice said. I don't know how long it took, Qin Hao only felt that he was already numb with pain, and the original pain of burning his body seemed to disappear out of thin air. Qin Hao felt refreshed and his whole body felt much more relaxed. But he understood that the voice I didn't lie to him, karma is tempered by fire. Although Qin Hao didn't know what it meant, it should be a good thing. So, Qin Hao was about to be grateful when suddenly a black halberd fell out of the air and landed in Qin Hao's hand. At the same time, the entire fallen demon palace shook again, and a vast voice sounded again. The third most precious treasure of the fallen demon palace, the god-killing halberd, has changed hands. Everyone was suddenly excited and blushed. Many people had already obtained some good treasures. But when they heard that the third treasure had also changed hands, everyone suddenly became angry and anxious, lest the treasure was also robbed. Who is it that actually lost a treasure? Damn it, a heavenly weapon. That was a heavenly weapon. This time I fight hard, the first treasure is mine, no one can steal it. Only Xiao Chen and the others were thinking a lot. Two treasures changed hands at once. This was something that Liu Yun sect and Qingyang sect had never done in 1,000 years. They knew the karma of the god-killing halberd. There is no one who can succeed alive. These two treasures were taken away by the same person. This thought suddenly appeared in Xiao Chen's mind, but it was extremely firm. While Wen Zhong and others were envious, they all realized, I am afraid that there will be great turmoil in this world of cultivation. And in the sea of fire, Qin Hao, but I heard the voice say, destined man, you are really good, you are truly the best I have ever seen. However, if you want to find this fourth treasure, it depends on your own ability. I won't mention it to you. This time, you have no chance to quit. Success is success, failure is death. As the decisive voice fell, the sea of fire around Qin Hao dissipated. At the same time, Qin Hao found himself as if he had appeared in an endless hall. The whole hall had countless passages in all directions, one by one. I don't know where the passage leads. Qin Hao put away the god-killing halberd and listened to the voice. This level is called dividing the ground into a prison. This level is very simple but also very difficult. There are 9,999 passages here. Within an hour, you have to find my fourth treasure, the shocking map, or you will perish. Hello. Wait a minute, what does your shocking picture look like? Qin Hao was very depressed. This guy didn't even give himself a chance and directly decided his life or death. But after the voice disappeared, Qin Hao was allowed to scream again, as if he was mute, but he didn't say anything. You want me to find a picture without telling me what the thing looks like? This is so unfair. Qin Hao complained in his heart, and suddenly thought picture, yes, picture, a shocking picture, that is a shocking picture, a blueprint. Qin Hao suddenly woke up and had some understanding. Okay, isn't it just to find a picture? If you're looking for a picture, look for a picture. A shocking picture. Where are the 9,999 passages? Qin Hao was depressed. With his own speed, he should be able to do it within an hour. He thought about it and wanted to go quickly. Unexpectedly, the pressure here seemed to be unusually high. Qin Hao found that he could not increase his speed at all. Flying is even more impossible. How so? Qin Hao was shocked. This guy asked him to find pictures, but he still put so much pressure on him. He didn't even give him any hints and limit his speed. Wasn't he going to kill him? But no matter how angry or complaining he was, they just ignored him. He and Qin Hao also knew that if he yelled like this, he would probably ignore him. So he just roared twice symbolically, and then his mind moved and he called Xiaobai out. Xiaobai, this time it's up to you. Qin Hao looked at Xiaobai pitifully, only hoping that this beast could show its power. Xiaobai couldn't help but feel proud when he saw Qin Hao actually begging for him, and said, "Don't worry, look at me, isn't it just a shocking picture? Look at me, I'll find it for you in 3 minutes." Immediately, Xiaobai flapped his wings and was about to fly away. Unexpectedly, as if he had no strength at all, and as if he was being blessed by something, Xiaobai couldn't fly, and even his speed was limited to about the same as Qin Hao. Xiao Qinzi, how could this happen? It's such a huge pressure. I can't bear it. I can't fly. It's up to you to handle the things here. I'll go to the space to take a rest first. Xiaobai also sensed something was wrong, and in a flash, he left Qin Hao and ran away. This guy is so unloyal. Qin Hao was depressed, but there was nothing he could do. Do you want me to find them one by one? No, 9,999 passages, find what year and month. Qin Hao is not stupid, but very smart. He thinks about it and thinks of a solution. What is going on? How can we find it? Qin Hao is lying on the table and is depressed, and the time passes by. In the past, Qin Hao still has no answer. Where is the shocking picture, where is it? Qin Hao's eyes inadvertently scanned the wall in this space, but it was all white, and it was not a picture at all. Looking up at the top, the roof is still a simple picture similar to the people in the Hunyuan ancient world, but Qin Hao seems to be able to faintly see the starlight above through the rock wall. Shocking picture. Shocking picture. Qin Hao repeated. He chewed the words and chewed them. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, as if he thought of something. He suddenly woke up and said with great joy, shocking picture, yes, I found it, I found it. Qin Hao laughed loudly, but when the voice heard his words, he said coldly, found it? Where? What about the shocking picture? Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 509. The shocking picture is not here. I don't know the face of Lushan Mountain, just because I am in this mountain. Qin Hao smiled mysteriously. As soon as he said this, the voice came suddenly and sighed deeply. After a long time, the voice continued. You really did not disappoint me. Whether it is your will, your Taoist heart, or even your wisdom and understanding, you are far beyond a genius. Very good, this shocking picture is yours. Suddenly, Qin Hao felt that the surrounding void was shattered and turned into a drawing, falling into his hands. It was the shocking drawing. At the same time, the entire falling demon palace shook again, and a vast sound came out. The fourth most precious treasure of the fallen demon palace, the shocking picture, has changed hands. Whoa! Everyone stuttered. Except for the first treasure, the second, third and fourth treasures, they changed owners one after another. Who is it? Who is it that stole my magic weapon? The monks were furious. Even the good things they had snatched felt boring. Compared with the treasures of the falling demon palace, these things are just rubbish, rubbish. But Xiao Chen and the other three were no longer shocked, but they were scared. They completely believed that this matter was definitely the work of one person. Still human. Things that the Liu Yun sect and the Qingyang sect could not do for thousands of years were accomplished one after another in one day. The three of them were already convinced that the first treasure would definitely fall into the hands of this person. Suddenly, each of them felt regretful. There is no fate with the treasure anymore, or you may feel that you are inferior to others. Destined person, since you can get my three treasures, you will have the opportunity to try the first treasure. If you succeed, you will be the heir of my four treasures, and my entire fallen demon palace will also be all yours. The voice was a little trembling. This first treasure is the chaos spiritual treasure Taixu sword that I have not touched for thousands of years. Just when the voice fell, the falling demon palace suddenly made a loud roar, and then everyone saw that above the falling demon palace, the original giant sword that looked like a relief suddenly fell down and disappeared. And in the void space, the Taixu the sword suddenly appeared. It's him. Qin Hao was slightly surprised, but it turned out that the sword was exactly the same sword that he had looked at as a relief before, but always felt that it was not a relief. It turns out he really isn't a relief. Oh. You've seen it before. There was a hint of joy in that voice, and he laughed. This sword of Taixu is actually my most precious treasure. To be honest, the power of the sword of Taixu cannot be used easily even by myself. Soon, the voice seemed to care for its companions, and said to the sword of Taixu affectionately, "Old man, I haven't seen you in 1,000 years, don't you blame me." Although talking about friendship with the sword will make people feel disgusted, in Qin Hao's view, this old man can cherish the sword so much, he is really a sentimental person. Therefore, unconsciously, he developed a good impression of him. You must also know my identity. Yes, I am Lian Changqing, the righteous leader who single-handedly directed the demon-slaying battle 3,000 years ago. And this Taixu sword is my chaos spiritual treasure Taixu sword. The next step to inherit the Taixu sword is very simple. As long as you succeed, this Taixu sword and even the entire falling demon palace will be yours. The voice, that is, Lian Changqing continued. In fact, the inheritance of the Taixu sword is not that difficult. As long as you hold the sword of Taixu and refine him with your magic power, he will be yours. Oh! Qin Hao thought it would be another challenge, and he was even mentally prepared. But he didn't expect it to be so simple. No wonder Lian Changqing took it for granted and treated him as a disciple, but he had long believed that he could refine it. Immediately, Qin Hao picked up the Taixu sword. This Taixu sword was really powerful, but it was much heavier than the ordinary flying sword. Qin Hao felt a strong pressure coming from him when he started. Fortunately, he was physically powerful, but he didn't make a fool of himself. Looking at the Taixu sword for a moment, Qin Hao immediately followed Lian Changqing's instruction and poured mana into the Taixu sword in an attempt to refine the Taixu sword. Even Qin Hao also thought that it was a matter of course that it would succeed. No one would have thought that there would be any surprises. As soon as Qin Hao spat out his magic power, black evil auras suddenly emerged from the Taixu sword, and the entire Taixu sword suddenly produced an extremely powerful resistance. Although Qin Hao's physical strength was top-notch, he was suddenly freed from the sword of Taixu. Bang! The sword of Taixu fell to the ground, making a crisp sound. At the same time, Qin Hao felt the surroundings. The void froze, and the voice suddenly said angrily, "So you are a remnant of the devil." The voice revealed deep-seated hatred, as if she wished she could eat his flesh alive. But Qin Hao could clearly hear it. It was still Lian Changqing's voice. Suddenly, Qin Hao felt a chill in his heart. But he never expected that it would happen. Such an accident occurred, and even his identity as a demon cultivator was exposed, but he still fell into the hands of Lian Changqing, the #1 demon slayer in the righteous way. What a remnant of the devil! You would never have thought that my sword of Taixu is the most precious treasure of the immortal way, and it is the most repulsive to your demonic way. His cold voice revealed some sighs, but the sighs also contained some regrets, and the regrets were filled with endless disappointment. Come to think of it, even Changqing also hoped to find a successor. It was not easy to meet Qin Hao. Unexpectedly, he turned out to be a man from the devil's path, his biggest enemy in this life. Senior, Junior did not intend to deceive Senior. What's more, it doesn't matter the devil's way, nor the immortal way. If the people's hearts are not right, then it is the real devil's way. Even though I, Qin Hao, am a demon, I have never done anything harmful to nature. At least I am doing the right thing. Qin Hao had some contact with this company Changqing, and he also had a lot of affection for this former #1 master of the righteous path. Now that he heard his cold voice, he finally couldn't help but blurt out. Ha ha! Dare the devil dare to claim to be righteous and correct. The voice seemed to have heard something funny and was talking about it. Demon cultivators are arrogant, considerate of human life, murder like hemp, behave violently and domineeringly, swallow people's souls, destroy human beings, and do all kinds of evil. They are causing harm to the world, and they are the scum of cultivators. What qualifications do they have to be called righteous and righteous? And the voice seemed to be full of resentment, and he said, a genius like you is actually a traitor to the devil. If you are allowed to dominate our Hunyuan ancient world, I am afraid that within 100 years, the devil will rise and run wild, and our Hunyuan ancient world will never be safe. Although I have fallen, I will definitely not let the demonic traitor stay even if my body and soul are destroyed. What the senior said is prejudice. Fighting and killing are common things even for mortals. Everyone has their own intentions, whether they are demons or immortals, so what? Do immortal cultivators not kill people indiscriminately? Do immortal cultivators have no evil deeds? I've done it before, swallowing people's nascent soul, killing people like crazy, I've done it too. But if it weren't for the persecution of those sanctimonious and so-called righteous monks, how could it be like this? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 510. What's more, the person Qin Hao was proud to kill had a reason to kill him. Qin Hao didn't expect that the senior would be so extreme, as if he couldn't listen to his own suggestions at all, and his heart became cold several times, almost like before the storm. Suffer death, remnant of the devil. Before Qin Hao could finish speaking, the voice was extremely ferocious. Qin Hao felt that the surrounding space had a tendency to collapse. Knowing that this must be the method of the company Changqing, he was furious. Senior wants to kill me, Qin Hao, Qin Hao. Hao will not sit still and wait for death. Qin Hao happened to be practicing the ancient demon way in the past, and Qin Hao once vowed to fight for the ancient demon and his predecessors to determine the winner. Let's decide the winner today. The arrogance in Qin Hao's bones has also been inspired, and he is awe-inspiring and unafraid. A mere dead man, how could he be killed by a dead man? He stood still, letting the void around him change, and stopped with stillness. Suddenly, Qin Hao felt that the scene was changing again and again. The next moment, he actually appeared in the stone quiet room. What surprised him the most was that in front of him was a crystal that was half the height of a man, like a baby, sitting carelessly on the stone chair. Nascent soul. Qin Hao was shocked, he could feel the powerful energy in the crystal. Being able to use the nascent soul to leak into the void, get rid of the physical body, and exist for a long time can only be done by those masters of the third and fourth steps. However, the nascent soul is still the nascent soul after all, not the physical body. Without the stability and peculiarity of the physical body. Therefore, if the fallen master is destroyed in the physical body, the existence of the nascent soul will not take more than 100 years. Unless the nascent soul seizes the body, otherwise the nascent soul will be exposed to the void. In 100 years, the nascent soul will not exist. It will slowly dissipate due to the loss of its own true energy, and finally the true spirit will return to the ruins and reincarnate again. Rumor has it that only those who have survived the heavenly tribulation can achieve the supreme state. Only by doing this can the nascent soul be achieved, just like a person's physical body, exposed to the void without birth or death. Although the yuanying in front of him is still full, Qin Hao can feel that this yuanying is supported by a spirit gathering formation. The spiritual energy in the formation is saturated, so under the balance of nascent soul, there is very little escape. Even so, nothing is absolute, escape still exists, but it is much less and slows down a lot. But while the formation guarantees itself, the whole person also being restricted, he can only stay in the formation from now on. Once he comes out, he will just disappear and die. Senior is Senior Lian Changqing. Qin Hao is not stupid, so he guessed a person at once and tentatively said, "Yes, I am Lian Changqing." The nascent soul slowly opened its mouth, a little funny, but Qin Hao couldn't laugh. It seems that this company Changqing is trapped here with his own nascent soul, and has not moved for hundreds of years. The depression in it must be as big as, although the time for the monks is long, there are also wonderful things to do to pass the time. And the evergreen nascent soul is trapped here, lonely for hundreds of years, but it is even more uncomfortable than death. It turns out that the death of the senior was also a lie. Little devil, I did die, but physically, but I still survived in the end. With my talent, I managed to hold on for hundreds of years. I'm not willing to give in. By the way, you mentioned the ancient demon inheritance just now, but there are people in the ancient demon path who have survived. Or are they those old devilish guys who have high arrogance and are unwilling to accept their demise? Qin Hao didn't expect that even Changqing, who was not in a hurry to kill, would actually ask about such things first. Good. The boy used to inherit the ancient demon in that Shura domain, but he was instructed by his seniors and needed the juniors to swear an oath to defeat the seniors and dozens of others on their behalf, and fulfill their wish. But it's just a defeat, but it doesn't mean a life or death struggle. Oh. Lian Changqing was obviously a little surprised and was shocked. Senior, I dare to take the oath of heavenly calamity, but this is the case. The seniors of the demonic path have no intention of taking their lives. It's just that they seem to be unwilling to accept defeat, so they have this idea. Qin Hao swears by the heavenly tribulation, even Changqing has to believe it. How can it be a joke about the heavenly tribulation? For a monk, every word and deed of the oath is within the law of heaven. If he violates the oath or it's a lie, but it is impossible to escape from the catastrophe. I didn't expect these demon cultivators to be so breathless. But it doesn't matter how to cultivate immortals and demons, everything depends on the human heart. Who would have thought that it turns out that cultivating immortals, the so-called demons, are tyrannical and do no harm to human life? In fact, fights between monks are a common occurrence, but there are also more sinister existences among immortal cultivators. Lian Changqing seemed to be recalling some bad past events, and his face was very expressionless. It's ugly, and I don't know what I'm thinking. Qin Hao was also surprised. This guy was shouting to kill him just now, but since the senior demons mentioned the inheritance of the ancient demon, his tone changed drastically, and he, generally speaking, people who start to criticize those who cultivate immortality and demonism are just people's hearts, and they never mention the fact that they wanted to kill themselves before. It seems that the two are not the same person, and they don't have the same personality at all. Weird, weird. Qin Hao didn't dare to be careless. After all, this was an old monster that had survived for thousands of years. He accidentally fell into his hands due to being more cautious, but it was too late to regret. Qin Hao was apparently fine. But he had already concentrated his energy and prepared himself as if facing a formidable enemy. The nascent soul seemed to have seen through Qin Hao's actions and did not take it seriously. He smiled slightly, but it was a movement, and said, "Little devil, you think I act strangely and act completely out of common sense. I shouted that I wanted to kill you before, but now I am talking to you quietly. I don't look like a human being at all. To be precise, I behave like a normal person. This company Changqing is indeed an old monster," but he revealed Qin Hao's thoughts in an instant, as if he couldn't guess everything. Good. The senior also asked for instructions. If he wanted to kill me, I would naturally not sit still and wait for death. If you want to let the boy go, I will be grateful. Come to think of it, senior people like me in the past would not have used those so-called conspiracies and tricks. Qin Hao smiled slightly, his guard still on his face. What a little devil, he wants to provoke me with a provoking method, but I won't accept this trick. But what about seniors and experts? They can still use all kinds of tricks and have despicable thoughts. Otherwise, how could I have reached this point and become such a miserable situation? Lian Changqing seemed to recall the past, and while feeling angry in his heart, he said, "Little devil, in fact, I am really not a normal person." Suddenly, Qin Hao was stunned. Among mortals, there is a kind of person called a mental patient, who has a weird personality and goes to two opposite extremes. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 511. When I was slaying demons in the past, I followed the absolute right path. But who could know that after the demon-slaying battle, I have seen the harshness of the world and the despicableness of the world. Even after being trapped here for hundreds of years, I have learned a lot about the human heart, and about the so-called righteous way and the evil way. It turns out that it is not the so-called narrow difference between immortals and demons, it is actually the human heart. So I can now be regarded as a mental patient taking two opposite directions. The more Changqing talked about this, the more abnormal it became, but it made Qin Hao understand clearly. He must have suffered some big changes and blows. In the past, during the demon-slaying war, he hated the devil. But after the demon-slaying battle, but found that there is no difference between the righteous cultivator and the demonic path, so he was hit in the heart and came to this opinion. Qin Hao is smart, thinking about what happened to the company Changqing, but he will make wild guesses. Poor. Just listen to the company Changqing say, "Boy, you should know about the demon-slaying battle 3,000 years ago. That battle was truly shocking, and I was once proud of it." Well. Qin Hao frowned. The old guy suddenly mentioned the battle of slaying demons. What did he mean? Lian Changqing continued. In the battle of slaying demons, because of me and a sword of Taixu, the structure of the entire monk world has changed. From then on, the demonic way died, and the immortal way should have flourished. However, who would have thought that it was because of the despicability of the cultivators themselves? From then on, the world of monks was in ruins. As if recalling the sad things, Lian Changqing said, "Whatever. I haven't chatted with anyone for hundreds of years, so I'll tell you a story today. But it is said that 3,000 years ago, the ancient world of Hunyuan was a prosperous monk realm in the human world. There were two kinds of monks, immortals and demons, in the ancient world. Immortal cultivators understood the way of heaven and achieved the way of immortality in the sky. Although the physical body they are weak and not good at fighting, but they are also blessed by the way of heaven. If they are weak from the heavenly calamity, it is natural that they can become immortals by attaining the way. However, those who practice demons follow whatever they want, thinking that cultivation is a path against heaven, so they should focus on their own selves. Perfect themselves, instead of obeying the way of heaven. Their bodies are strong and their fighting power is very strong, but the heavenly tribulations are extremely powerful, and they are often severe tribulations. Even if the demon cultivators are powerful, they can survive under such heavy tribulations. Very few. Therefore, demon cultivators also call themselves ancient demons. Only those who have endured countless tribulations without dying are considered real demons. Although they are powerful, there are very few real masters of demon cultivators. They are far inferior to the huge base of immortal cultivators. The immortals and demons were stable. But just a few hundred years ago, 3,000 years ago, the demon cultivators who flourished began to cultivate the real world for evil. The demon cultivators found that the evil spirit they cultivated was so overbearing that even the souls of the monks were swallowed up. Infants are the innate energy of boys and girls in the mortal world, which can increase their own cultivation and speed up their cultivation. At this time, many demon cultivators cannot bear the pleasure of increasing their cultivation, and coupled with their unsteady minds, with weak perseverance and unable to resist the temptation, they began to crazily kill mortal cultivators and even fellow cultivators. This trend is like a virus, spreading from 10 to 10, to hundreds of millions, and in the end more and more demon cultivators began to engage in this matter of devouring people's cultivation and killing mortals. This kind of thing completely angered the immortal cultivators. Countless immortal cultivators from the mortal world began to join forces to kill the demon cultivators. But the demon cultivators, although the number of people was small, the fighting power of each was strong, and the immortals and demons were evenly matched for a while, attacking and defending each other. Later, a chaos spiritual treasure was born in the world of cultivation. Although the immortals and demons were prosperous in the world of cultivation at that time, no matter whether they were cultivators or cultivators, the most powerful demon among demons is the middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure left over from ancient times. The chaos spiritual treasure was born and was obtained by a genius master in the world of immortal cultivators. This person is Lian Changqing. Lian Changqing, although he was an immortal cultivator, he was actually originally a member of the mortal kingdom. Later, his whole family was slaughtered by demon cultivators, and Lian Changqing began to enter the world of immortal cultivators with hatred. He went through countless hardships and suffered countless hardships, and finally became an immortal cultivator. However, immortal cultivators are not as good as demon cultivators. Lian Changqing relies on his amazing talents to hone his fighting power. Whenever there is a battle to slay demons, he will take the initiative and fight with all his strength. No, not to mention, the physical body is not the real difference between immortals and demons. At least Lian Changqing's combat power has soared due to countless life and death battles. Ordinary demon cultivators are either his opponents in the same class or one level higher. Only a few demon cultivators can be compared with him. Even his cultivation level, due to his many life and death and hard training plus his own talent, in 100 years, he has surpassed his peers and even his predecessors, becoming a master of the tribulation period among the immortal cultivators. When the chaos spiritual treasure was born, this company Changqing relied on his own ability to finally win the chaos spiritual treasure flying sword in the chaos of immortals and demons. Obtain the Taixuju, the immortal world skill that belongs to the Taixu sword. Suddenly, Lian Changqing's strength and cultivation in just a few decades made him the leading master in the entire cultivation world. With strength, Lian Changqing naturally wants revenge and is determined to eliminate demons. At this time, the battle between immortals and demons was at its peak, so Lian Changqing took the lead and led the entire team of immortal cultivators to issue a decisive battle slogan to the demon cultivators. The leader of the demon cultivators at that time was extremely arrogant. Relying on his cultivation at the peak of the great Dao ancestor and possessing the strongest demonic chaos spiritual treasure, he considered himself to be the #1 master. He led the entire team of demon cultivators and the immortal cultivators. Duel. Unexpectedly, the immortal cultivators resorted to deceit and surrounded and annihilated the demon cultivators. With Chang Qing there, his own cultivation level was not inferior to that of the top master of demon cultivators. The chaos spiritual treasure Taigu's sword even defeated the demon cultivator. In the end, under the leadership of Lian Changqing, the immortal cultivators defeated the demon cultivators. The entire demon cultivator community was slaughtered, and the demon cultivators disappeared from the entire ancient world. But as the saying goes, if you kill 3,000 enemies, you will lose 800, let alone face a powerful opponent like a demon cultivator. Even the immortal cultivators, after the destruction of the demon cultivators, most of the immortal cultivators also died, and the few remaining masters were all seriously injured, including Lian Changqing. Unexpectedly, at this time, because Lian Changqing was a member of the mortal world, he knew the suffering of mortals under the control of immortals and demons. Therefore, when he asked the immortal cultivators to withdraw from the mortal world, claim to be of the same lineage, and not interfere with the purity of the mortal world, it touched the interests of some immortal cultivators. So, a group of immortal cultivators took the opportunity to attack. They took advantage of Lian Changqing's serious injury and destroyed his body, but he escaped from nascent soul. Fantasy. After thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 512. Lian Changqing was deeply aware of the desolate world and the uncertainty of people's hearts. He was disheartened and did not seek revenge. Instead, he established the falling demon palace on his own, hoping only to have talents to carry forward his ambitions. And some of those cultivators once again crisscrossed the ancient world, took control of their own power, and established powerful sects in the sand sea of the ancient world, always sending their own disciples to interfere with the strength of the mortal world. Fight for hegemony. On the other hand, some cultivators do it because they don't like strength, but they also don't like to be interfered with, especially by the arbitrary power of this company Changqing. In addition, the immortal cultivators themselves broke up and became disheartened. They all retreated into the sand sea and formed their own forces. They were in a stalemate with the other lineage but did not interfere with each other. The Sea of Black Sand. After hearing what Lian Changqing said, Qin Hao understood that he was indeed suffering from schizophrenia. On the one hand, he adheres to the so-called righteous path of immortality, but on the other hand, he has witnessed the behavior of people in the righteous path of immortality, but he has fallen into pain and the struggle of always believing in it. That's why it behaves this way. But what really attracted Qin Hao was the mysterious sea of ink sand mentioned in Changqing's words. As one of the three mysterious and dangerous places in the Hunyuan ancient world, especially the most famous one, the Black Dragon Sand Sea, it is said that there are masters who have mastered the tribulation there. Even Qin Hao yearned for it. At least when he himself cannot reach that level, the Great Tribulation transcendence is truly an insurmountable barrier to the Hunyuan ancient realm. Now, the words of Lian Changqing made Qin Hao understand two things. On the one hand, this mysterious sea of ink dragon sand turned out to be a remnant of the past lineage of immortal cultivators. It was aloof and controlled the lifeblood of the entire Hunyuan ancient world. In this way, whether it is the three major dynasties or the so-called first master, there are no tigers in the mountains, and the monkey is the king. It is even possible that this is the power of the Black Dragon Sand Sea, indirectly controlling the trend and lifeline of the entire Hunyuan ancient world. Thinking of this, Qin Hao felt that the various dynasties in the ancient world may not be as simple as he imagined. Thinking of this, Qin Hao couldn't help but feel a sense of awe in his heart. He used to think that he could protect himself, but he also felt that he was so small and fragile. On the other hand, while Qin Hao was awestruck, he also realized that if this was the case, he would not have no chance. At least, as Lian Changqing said, the entire Black Dragon Sand Sea is not dominated by one force. Another force of immortal cultivators pursues free practice, but it also restrains them. Therefore, if Qin Hao can use it properly, he may have a chance. Little devil, I won't kill you today. Thank you for your generosity, Senior. Qin Hao was overjoyed. He was extremely excited and gave a sincere salute. Unexpectedly, Lian Changqing continued. Although I won't kill you, I won't give you a way to survive. Wait a minute, whether you can survive depends on your own fate. Having said that, Qin Hao felt a huge surge of magic power coming over him. The void around him collapsed again, but his whole body seemed to be in a daze. This Lian Changqing, even without a physical body, could be so terrifying, but it was him. He knew that something bad was about to happen, but with his Hunyuan stage strength, he had no room for resistance. No wonder the two sects of Mojiao Shaha knew about the survival of Changqing Company, and even knew the location. On the one hand, it's the power of the falling demon palace and Lian Changqing's lack of murderous intent. On the other hand, Lian Changqing's strength is too terrifying. Even with only nascent soul and the sword of Taixu, it's beyond the reach of these other immortal cultivators. If he is forced to fight hard, these people will probably suffer a lot of losses. In addition, the two sides already have different opinions. Once one side is damaged, the other side will definitely not wait and see and take the opportunity to engulf them. So between the two sides, he didn't dare to take action either. While Qin Hao was in a daze, the vast falling demon palace suddenly shook violently again. The first treasure was also taken away. Xiao Chen and the two sighed in their hearts, but everyone was angry. Who is this, taking away the most precious treasures from them again and again, without even leaving a trace to them? This person must be killed, and this person must not be allowed to stay. That's right, if I catch this beast, I'll definitely capture him alive. No need to worry, just kill him and get the treasure. Everyone was furious. Along with the violent vibration, a vast and majestic voice sounded again. The first treasure failed to change ownership, and this inheritance ended. 5 years later, the inheritance starts again. Everyone was happy, but the first treasure was not taken away after all. But immediately, everyone felt dizzy and in a trance. Only Xiao Chen had the foresight and did not panic. Let yourself drift off. Where is this place? Hey, around the fallen demon palace, where is the fallen demon palace? The fallen demon palace is missing. The fallen demon palace has disappeared. Everyone woke up one after another, but they unanimously discovered that the fallen demon palace was missing. My darling. Everyone was a little panicked immediately. They stared at their magic weapons one by one, stretched out their hands to check, but found that they were safe and sound. Fortunately, this magic weapon is still there. Haha, it seems to be true. The first treasure has not been snatched away. We still have a chance. Yes, 5 years later, there is still a chance in the Nightwish Forest. Everyone has different thoughts, but this time the matter is urgent, and they have to cooperate temporarily. But now that they know about this treasure house and that there will be another opportunity in 5 years, they all have evil intentions and thousands of thoughts in their hearts. Kindness. Everyone, let's count the number of people right now. Let's go out together as usual as when we came here. Considering that this is still in the middle of the Nightwish Mountains, everyone is greedy and is overwhelmed by the power of the ferocious beast. They are not allowed to cooperate and dare not act rashly and provoke a fight. Otherwise, everyone will lose. Well, that's exactly what it should be. But it was the Ye family who got the most treasures this time. Although they were powerful, they were not inferior to everyone. Now they naturally got the advantage and acted like a good boy. They didn't dare to let others think about it, so they were the first to agree. Hey, who is this person? Suddenly, an elder of the Ming clan discovered that among the crowd, there was still a boy sleeping, but he looked very unfamiliar, but he also felt a little familiar. Well, everyone looked at it. Qin Yu and the rest of the Qin family people's expressions changed drastically, especially Qin Yu. He was very shrewd. A trace of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. After all, he was suppressed. Well, you guys, go quickly, Elder Qin Hao is not awake yet, go and invite Elder Qin Hao back. Qin Yu asked the two elders of the Qin family, Luo Qi, beside him. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 513. Immediately, the two elders hurriedly walked to Qin Hao and woke him up. When Qin Hao woke up and looked at the people in the Hunyuan ancient world around him, he was shocked, but he understood that he must have failed. But that company Changqing clearly said that he wanted to see the opportunity, but why did he send himself out? Seeing that the patriarch was Qin Yu, Qin Hao couldn't say anything because of his ancestors and his father's consent, but after all, because of ALU and other things, he returned to the Qin family's team, but he ignored Qin Yu. When the big forces saw that Qin Hao turned out to be an elder of the Qin family, they couldn't say anything. They just pretended that they didn't notice it, so they didn't pursue anything. Well, let's go back now. Qin Yu's face was calm, but he suggested that everyone leave as soon as possible. Many forces got the magic weapon and were eager to go back and see the power of the magic weapon. They also took action to leave. Wait. Everyone was about to leave when they heard a sharp shout, like a bowl of water. Although it was calm, it was quite majestic. Elder Yeji, is there anything unresolved? Everyone was confused and found out that it was an elder of the Ye family. However, the Ye family was so powerful that there was no need to offend the major forces, so they wanted to ask a question. But Qin Yu's face trembled and he secretly said something bad. Sure enough, then the elder known as Yeji stared straight at Qin Hao. Like a jackal that had discovered its prey, a sly smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This elder Qin Hao of the Qin family seems familiar. If my guess is correct, we must have met just now. He deliberately pondered for a moment and continued. Oh, yes, when the major forces entered the middle of the Nightwish Mountains just now, we also came here to investigate from several major forces. If I remember correctly, fellow Taoist Qin Hao did not come in with the large forces, but it must have been a long time ago, even before I waited, that I had come to this demonic palace. As soon as Yeji said this, the elders of the major forces who had followed him to the Nightwish Mountains for the first time and had to turn back in the end were startled and stared at Qin Hao. Sure enough, it was really similar to what Yeji said. This person seemed to be the same person as the one just now. Moreover, thinking that they were all members of the Qin family, everyone was even more sure of his identity. In an instant, the smart people realized the meaning. Even a slow person suddenly came to his senses for a moment. After the inheritance of the falling demon palace ended, everyone came here, but there was an extra Qin Hao who had entered before. And in the falling demon palace, there was one person who could get it alone. The second, third treasures, although there is no first one, are all chaos spiritual treasures. Chaos spiritual treasures, how powerful are these? Even if they are as powerful as several major forces, they can have how many chaos spiritual treasures, not to mention the middle grade chaos spiritual treasures, 3 for each person. And the suspect, no, it is absolutely certain, is Qin Hao. The common man is not guilty, but the jade is guilty. Suddenly, everyone became the greedy wolf stared at Qin Hao with greed and murderous intent in his eyes. Qin Yu's expression changed, but he didn't know how to choose. Qin Hao was a member of the Qin family, and he had already figured it out before everyone else. But due to the power of his ancestors, he did not dare to deal with Qin Hao blatantly. He even dreamed that Qin Hao would dedicate the middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure to the family, and then he would also have a great achievement. Therefore, he had an idea. He moved, but wanted to keep Qin Hao out. But at this time, Ye Ji saw through it. As an old Jianghu, Qin Yu naturally understands the charm and temptation of the chaos spiritual treasure. The power of this chaos spiritual treasure, I am afraid that this many forces will definitely start a fight. You know, the most powerful of them in the fallen demon palace has not obtained the chaos spiritual treasure. The three middle-grade chaos spiritual treasures are definitely the most precious things in the entire Hunyuan ancient world. If placed in any major force, it can change the world. If the ancestor of the Qin family gets it, he can replace the current number one master in the Hunyuan ancient world and become the number one master. No one knows the temptation of this thing. But at the moment, many forces, everyone is a wolf. No matter how powerful the Qin family is, it is impossible to match the power of the entire Hunyuan ancient world. It is absolutely impossible to keep these three chaos spiritual treasures. In this case, this Qin Hao can still keep, is it? But the Qin family cannot give up the middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure. Regardless of feelings or interests, it is absolutely inappropriate for the Qin family to give up Qin Hao. But if you don't give up, you will become the enemy of the entire Hunyuan ancient world. So at this time Qin Yu is really in trouble. Hand over the magic weapon and I will spare your life. The elder of the Ye family saw that Qin Hao had not spoken for a long time. He was only at the late stage of yuanying. With his own strength and the presence of all the major forces, the elder of the Ye family snorted coldly, with smiles in his eyes. Yes, 3 magic weapons, how can you be allowed to take them all by yourself? Exactly, you Qin family have such a big appetite. Could it be that we don't take the many forces in the Hunyuan ancient world into our eyes? Hand over the magic weapon. Since all the major forces have guessed that the one who has obtained the 3 great treasures must be Qin Hao, there is no way they can let him escape, let alone leave with the magic weapon. If it weren't for this, the Qin family would be ranked first in the entire Hunyuan ancient world. Everyone in the several families was wary, fearing that they would not give Qin Hao a chance to speak if they didn't rush forward. Even so, in the face of the persecution of the entire Hunyuan ancient realm, even the Qin family had to give in. Immediately, Qin Yu thought again and again, but he did not dare to face the entire Hunyuan ancient world as an enemy. Everyone, our Qin family can obtain this treasure, but it is also the Qin family's chance. Speaking of which, the Qin family is quite famous in the entire Hunyuan ancient world. If everyone can get away easily, how can there be room for my Qin family to exist in the ancient world in the future? It's better that we discuss this matter in the long run. Go ahead, Qin Yu looked at Qin Hao again and said. Qin Hao, do you have this magic weapon in your hands? So what if I'm here, so what if I'm not here? Qin Hao looked at the great forces in the ancient world that were like jackals, with a cold heart, a sneer smile on his lips, and he was unafraid. Huh, do you still want to deny it? Just now, we saw with our own eyes that you were the first to step into the middle of the Nightwish Mountains. You are the only one who came to the Demon Falling Palace's inheritance before me, so I let you take the lead. After the inheritance failed, you were the only one who didn't come with me. It would be ridiculous to say that you did not get the 3 treasures. Elder Ye sneered, and many elders and others from various forces agreed. Yes, this is what we saw with our own eyes. Do you still want to deny it? Yes, the magic weapon was snatched by you alone. Let alone you, it is your Qin family, who has the right to swallow these magic weapons alone. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 514. Hand over the magic weapon and I will spare your life. Everyone was extremely greedy when faced with the temptation of the magic weapon. With the power of the entire Hunyuan ancient realm, the Qin family was nothing. Not to mention, Qin Yu looked like he was easy to bully. Everyone, how could I miss this opportunity? Everyone, please allow me to explain a thing or two. Seeing all the major forces pointing their fingers at Qin Hao, and Qin Hao running rampant like a newborn calf who is not afraid of tigers, Qin Yu secretly laughed in his heart and felt that the conspiracy was successful. However, when these forces mentioned the Qin family, he had to act like it. He said angrily. Although my Qin family is weak, if anyone dares to attack my Qin family, Qin Yu will not let him go. It has to be said that he has been the leader of the clan for so many years, and his power is still there. When he snorted, everyone immediately stopped talking, but Qin Yu said to everyone. After all, the middle grade chaos spiritual treasure is not an ordinary magic weapon. If it is in the hands of Elder Qin Hao and everyone wants to take it, they can do it. However, there is still a price to pay. As soon as these words came out, Qin Yu was convinced by everyone. In fact, Qin Hao grew up under Qin Yu's supervision. Qin Yu can still control 70% to 80% of his temperament. Although Qin Hao's overall strength has grown to a terrifying level over the past few years, there is always something difficult to change in his character. Therefore, Qin Yu's so-called bartering is just one of his plots. It's a pretense that makes people look reasonable. After all, in this situation, the Qin family really can't go against all the powerful forces. If this magic weapon is really in Qin Hao's hands, they can't keep it. Abandoning the car to save the commander, at least Qin, when you said this, it seemed that he was legalizing the banditry of the major forces and making them look decent. The price that the major forces could pay was nothing more than some spiritual stones and elixirs. For the major forces, if you can get this middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure, a few spiritual stones and elixirs are nothing. In fact, things are rare and valuable, let alone a middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure that determines your destiny. How can these be nothing? No amount of spiritual elixirs or spiritual stones can be exchanged for it. Unless these spiritual elixirs are of a perverted state that can make people instantly become immortals, it is obviously impossible for the major forces to possess them. In this way, according to Qin Yu's estimation, Qin Hao will definitely not suffer. Especially when faced with threats from everyone, Qin Hao is a typical person who does not take tough measures. And Qin Yu, at this time, had no choice but to abandon Qin Hao for the safety of the Qin family. Reasonable. Good. As it should be, we are willing to exchange the elixir and spirit stone with you. Magic weapon, please take it out. Everyone was overjoyed, but they immediately made up their mind to hold this magic weapon in their hands. Compared with the middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure, there is a huge difference between the spiritual elixir and the spiritual stone. Even if it is a mountain of spiritual stone, it is very different from the spiritual treasure. It is far inferior to the top-level middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure in the Hunyuan ancient world. If it is comparable, maybe it is not something that exists in the Hunyuan ancient world. So when Qin Yu said bartering, although Qin Hao could not see Qin Yu's purpose and conspiracy when he saw the things, the aloofness in his heart had been aroused. He had already seen it in the greedy eyes of these people. In an instant, Qin Hao was confused about the company. Changqing also understood what Changqing said about life and death. It turned out that Lian Changqing did not lie to him, but actually did it. How to avoid these greedy monks depends on his own methods. Even these monks want to keep me, Qin Hao. Qin Hao sneered in his heart and disagreed. He didn't think that these bastards, although they claim to be more or less powerful, have a lot of strength. But Qin Hao's strength is not simple, and these guys are really not good for him. It's worth mentioning. He may not be able to defeat so many people, but when his Tianzhuo is deployed, no one can find him. However, Qin Hao knows that his identity is obvious this time, and he is a member of the Qin family. He cannot be like in the illusion of death, there are no stumbling blocks. Although he has no nostalgia for the Qin family, his parents are both in the Qin family. Therefore, Qin Hao is not willing to turn against him immediately. Instead, he wants to listen to his family, even though they are former enemies. But after all, he is a member of the Qin family, and he still has this position and does not dare to betray the Qin family. Therefore, Qin Hao had the patience to listen to his plan. Everyone, although Elder Qin Hao is a member of my Qin family, the magic weapon was ultimately obtained by Qin Hao himself. If you want it, you still need the consent of Qin Hao himself. Although my Qin family has the power, we cannot force Elder Qin Hao to make any decision that would harm him. Qin Yu finished speaking, with a sinister smile on his lips. He, Qin Yu, couldn't do anything, including driving tigers and devouring wolves. In the past, the ancestors wanted Qin Hao to be the elder by name, but it was just because he was genius, unparalleled genius. But this Qin Hao is obviously not a good person, otherwise he would not force himself to abdicate. Although Qin Tian no longer cares about it, it is just a lip service. What he thinks in detail is definitely not that simple. But at the beginning Qin Yu is in a weak position, so he can only compromise. But now, there is such a great opportunity. In front of many forces, Qin Hao has obtained so many magic weapons, and he will inevitably be competed and hostile by the powerful forces. Although the magic weapons are valuable, they are really tempting. People are desperate. But in the face of the entire ancient world, Qin Yu made such a decision, which can be regarded as a way to preserve the Qin family. At least the ancestors and even no one in the Qin family dared to say anything wrong with him openly. As for Qin Hao asked him to face the forces of the entire Hunyuan ancient world alone. No matter what Qin Hao said, if he agreed, the Qin family's losses would still come to him. If he didn't agree, he would face the entire Hunyuan ancient world. The world is chasing him, and Qin Yu's visit this time has just mobilized all his confidants. The major forces are fighting with Qin Hao. The greater possibility is that Qin Hao's generation of geniuses has fallen, and he, Qin Yu, can definitely do it too. Share a piece of the pie. Even if it is a magic weapon, Qin Hao's death, the ancestors, and even the entire Qin family can only blame the big forces for this matter. But then he was holding a medium-grade chaos. If the spirit treasure is handed over to the clan, and his power can be stabilized, Qin Tian is nothing. Even if he doesn't hand it over, he only has the top middle-grade chaos spirit treasure in the entire Hunyuan ancient world in the late Deluo period. With his cultivation level, few people in the entire ancient world of Hunyuan dynasty can hurt him. Therefore, no matter what happens this time, Qin Yu will be victorious and undefeated. How can he not seize the opportunity if he is as smart as him? Such an opportunity. Perhaps the major forces cannot consider the grievances between Qin Yu and Qin Hao and think that this statement is true. This Qin Yu is really afraid of himself. Even Qin Hao himself is not as smart as Qin Yu, so naturally he does not know that Qin Yu's intentions. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 515. To him, it seemed reasonable. But if the magic weapon he had worked so hard to obtain was snatched away by these forces, how could Qin Hao let it go with his character? What's more, he, Qin Hao, is not necessarily afraid of these people. At that moment, Qin Hao snorted coldly and said, "Don't tell me that the magic weapon is not here with me, even if it is here with me, just because you want to go." Qin Hao is not an idiot. Although he is not afraid of these people, he doesn't want to cause trouble. No one saw it anyway, so why should he admit it? Regardless of whether these people believe it or not, he will not hand it over. Kindness. The major forces, headed by the elder of the Ye family, obviously will not give up. Especially the elder of the Ye family, it is clear that they want to drag the Qin family into it. Qin Hao's strong attitude is actually in line with his calculations. So speaking of which, Elder Qin Hao didn't intend to hand it over and just ate it all by himself. As soon as Elder Ye said this, he looked at Qin Yu and said, "Are you, the Qin family, determined to be the enemy of the entire Hunyuan ancient realm?" The voice of Elder Ye was cold and threatening. Qin Yu smiled secretly in his heart, but put on a cautious look on his face, a little hesitant. At this moment, a cold snort suddenly came from Road. "Don't say that I don't have it, but I do have it. I, the Qin family's own things, must be left to you to wait." Along with the gloomy angry voice, everyone felt a pressure coming towards their faces. Immediately, all the major forces were shocked to find that an old man with plain clothes and white hair had appeared in the void. His expression is formidable, and he is not angry but he is intimidating. It is natural. If you look into his cultivation level again, it is really unfathomable. Senior Qin Lan. All the major forces were shocked, but the ancestor of the Qin family arrived. Snort. "Since my Qin family is blessed with the inheritance of the falling demon palace, who can still threaten me? The ancestors of the Qin family are indeed extraordinary." As soon as these words came out, everyone fell silent. Only the elder of the Ye family, who didn't know what he had in mind, said, "Magical treasures and things belong to those who are virtuous. The Qin family has a lot of good fortune, but they cannot swallow up all the magical treasures. Although the seniors are so powerful that we feel inferior to them, there are still some in each of my families who cannot compare with the seniors. If we were asked to just wait and let it go, I probably wouldn't be able to." Well. The ancestor of the Qin family frowned, and a pressure condensed on the elder Ye. Suddenly, the elder Ye was sweating coldly, and his mind was shaken. After a long time, the ancestor of the Qin family Qin Lan just snorted coldly, "Hello, Junior." Arrogant. His cold snort was a sign of his power spreading out and condensing on elder Ye. No matter how powerful elder Ye was, the higher his cultivation level, the difference was huge at every step. Seeing elder Ye bear the "if I can't hold on, I'm about to collapse." Taoist brother Qin Lan, even if you take action against me, a junior of the Ye family, you are not afraid of being laughed at by fellow Taoists. Suddenly, the figure of an old man appeared again in the void. At the same time, there was a gentle pressure on the old man, but he calmly helped elder Ye block the pressure, while he himself is calm. It can be seen that the old man's cultivation is definitely not inferior to that of Qin Lan, the ancestor of the Qin family. Ye Ji. Qin Lan snorted coldly, but stopped pursuing him, so he just gave up. "Taoist brothers, since you are here, please come out." The old man, Ye Ji, the ancestor of the Ye family, smiled in the void, and suddenly several figures popped up in the originally calm void. Each one had a high level of cultivation. The movement and silence made everyone aware of a huge figure. The pressure is unmatched. Well. The ancestor of the Qin family was slightly startled, and his face changed. It was obvious that he recognized these masters. Now that these people have arrived, I am afraid that the situation will become even more unfavorable to the Qin family. Rao. Even so, Qin Lan still gave a slight salute and said, "Fellow Taoists, you are well, haha. Brother Qin, I haven't seen you for decades." Brother Qin's cultivation has grown a lot. One of the middle-aged and slightly younger men in well-dressed hands held his hand. The vicissitudes in his words showed that he was definitely not much younger than Qin Lan. However, this man had not finished speaking. Someone else said, "Brother Qin's cultivation has increased a lot, but in my opinion, his temper has increased even more. As a senior, you bully the younger members of the clan like me, but you are not afraid of being laughed at, Mingzun, you several major forces joined forces to bully my Qin family, what is this? The ancestor of the Qin family snorted coldly, but he was not afraid. After all, he is also a master at this level. As the head of the Qin family, how can he show weakness? As soon as he said this, the elders of the major forces, the guys, all had strange expressions on their faces. They looked at the people with miserable expressions in the west and were slightly startled. It was obvious that they didn't know yet. These old monsters from all the powerful forces had just arrived, so naturally they had no idea about them. Love. In fact, they came here just to comply with the family's request. They knew that the demon falling palace was not a trivial matter, so they at least ensured that their power would not be robbed. As for Qin Hao's acquisition of the 3 treasures of the falling demon palace, except for the ancestors of the Qin family who arrived first, they had heard about it a little bit. These old guys didn't know about it. They all thought that the ancestors of Qin were bullying their juniors based on their cultivation. Ancestor, each of the 3 great treasures of the falling demon palace are mid-grade chaos spiritual treasures, and they are all in the hands of the Qin family. This matter has been made public, and Elder Ye also knows that it cannot be hidden from other forces. Therefore, he simply disclosed it frankly. With Ye's strength, it is not impossible to earn one. At least, the Qin family shouldn't get the 3 greatest treasures easily. His, mid-grade chaos spiritual treasure. These old guys were all moved. They, the old monsters, know best what a mid-grade chaos spiritual treasure is. Even if they are as powerful as the Ye family, the Qin family, etc., the most powerful ones are only low-grade ones. Chaos spiritual treasures, and they dare not use them easily. I thought that there was a rumor that there was an immortal mansion in the Nightwish Mountains, and there were chaos spiritual treasures in it. It was just a rumor, and it was not very credible. But for the purpose of treasure hunting, the major forces still send people here. As for these old guys, there is no hope. I see, Brother Qin, are you trying to protect your Qin family members? Yes, how can you, the Qin family, keep these 3 magic weapons for yourself? Those are 3 middle-grade chaos spiritual treasures. If they all fall into the hands of the Qin family, let alone the top master in the Hunyuan ancient world who wants to change his name, who can think that the entire Hunyuan ancient world can compete with the Qin family? The great forces have been in the Hunyuan ancient realm for hundreds and nearly 1,000 years. On the surface, they are a clear water and calm. In fact, they are not restraining each other, and no one dares to easily break the balance. Even secret intrigues are nothing more than ordinary. That's all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 516. 3 middle-grade chaos spiritual treasures, let alone 3, are enough to change the entire Hunyuan ancient world. No matter which party gets the middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure, even just 1 piece is enough for this force to look down on all living beings. Qin Lan, the ancestor of the Qin family, has already gained a clear understanding of the world of cultivation over hundreds of years. He didn't know what these people were thinking now. If there is no explanation for today's mid-grade chaos spiritual treasure, I'm afraid the Qin family will also have to explain it here. After all, no matter how powerful he is no match for so many masters, and the Qin family will definitely not be able to stop the power of the entire Hunyuan ancient world. Therefore, even though Qin Lan was so angry in his heart, he had to endure it for the time being and pretended to sneer. Dear Taoist brothers, please don't make any assumptions about these 3 middle-grade chaos spiritual treasures. Not to mention that you and I have existed in this ancient world for hundreds of years. If there really was a middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure, it would have been available long ago. If there was a middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure in the hands of my Qin family, wouldn't I, Qin Lan, have become the #1 master in the ancient world of Hunyuan dynasty? In the final analysis, although they all suspect that Qin Hao is the owner of the 3 treasures, no one has seen it with their own eyes. Even the elder of the Ye family is just guessing. Ancestor, I heard this with my own ears in the falling demon palace. The elder of the Ye family did not let go. Just like the ancestor of the Ye family, he told what happened in the falling demon palace, and everyone nodded in agreement. Kindness. After all, Qin Hao is the most suspicious, and it is even certain that if the middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure is real, it must be Qin Hao. Ye pondered for a moment and saw that all the old guys from the big forces were ready to make a move. If they weren't afraid of each other, they would have taken action long ago. Brother Qin, if this is true, I'm afraid none of the fellow Taoists present will be convinced that your Qin family has taken possession of 3 middle-grade chaos spiritual treasures. Otherwise, let us search that junior's body. If there is no magic weapon, we will naturally be willing to apologize. If there are really middle-grade chaos spiritual treasures, among other things, at least your Qin family will have to donate 2 pieces. As for how to divide them, our major forces will have their own methods. It has to be said that as soon as Ye said this, he instantly won the support of all the major forces. Perhaps facing the ancient world of Hunyuan, the Qin family had to compromise. But if the Qin family really wants to fight, I am afraid that the major forces will also. It will cause a lot of damage. Otherwise, everyone would have rushed forward, and there would be no need to discuss it. Well. Qin Lan frowned, which was a magic weapon to carve up the Qin family. But he also understood that ordinary people are not guilty, and pregnant women are not guilty. Bai is guilty. Especially this treasure, which is impossible to touch without strength. If he really refuses to agree, I am afraid that all the major forces will really swarm him, and then the entire Qin family will be in danger. And Ye's proposal, although serious, it harmed the interests of the Qin family, but for the Qin family, it might as well be a retreat. Although no one has seen the 3 middle-grade chaos spiritual treasures, the possibility of this matter is probably very high. If we give up this middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure, my Qin family can still get one. In this way, it will not be too late for a gentleman to take revenge in 10 years. The Qin family also has Qin Hao, an unparalleled genius. With his qualifications, it is not impossible that he can reach the pinnacle of the Hunyuan ancient world. If we don't hand it over now, I'm afraid the Qin family will be destroyed in my hands. Qin Lan has spent hundreds of years, and he also knows the importance, and knows how to advance and retreat. With the cruelty of all the powerful forces, if the moment comes for them to destroy the Qin family, I am afraid they will not hold back. The current situation of the Qin family, Qin, it's hard to support a single tree, so we can only retreat and endure, waiting for the future. Okay, just as you said. However, just as my Qin family Qin you said just now. There really is a magic weapon. The magic weapon belongs to Qin Hao after all. If you want to take something that belongs to a junior, I, Qin Lan, will not agree to it if you don't pay a price. Haha, brother Qin is really brave. Okay, I'll do as you say. Many old monsters laughed loudly, with a dim light flashing in their eyes, as if the middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure was already in their possession. Also, at this point, if it really doesn't exist, no one can take advantage of it. If it does, anyone may have the opportunity to get a share of the pie. When the time comes, the strength will increase greatly and it will be superior to other families. It will be a wonderful thing. As powerful as these giants, all of them are hundreds of years old monsters, and I am also excited. Abnormal. The family, finally in my hands, will prosper. However, these old guys are enjoying themselves, but they forget that the owner of the treasure has not yet spoken. Wait a minute, Qin Hao's magic weapon, don't bother you to worry about. As soon as these words came out, everyone was slightly startled, and the air in the whole scene condensed instantly, and a chilling air rose out of thin air. Qin Hao felt angry in his heart. Speaking of which, he, a master, has always kept his secrets and kept silent. But he is not someone to be trampled on. Otherwise, in that illusion of death, how could he dare to fight against the enemy with his weak cultivation, with his hands covered in the blood of the enemy, and the sky full of killings? But now, these major forces openly put he was treated as a lamb to be slaughtered, which is really unbearable. I will not offend others unless they offend me. This is Qin Hao's principle of life, so he has cultivated his character of being very grudge-why. Now these old monsters, it's okay for them all to look down on Qin Hao, but they really treat him like a lamb that is easy to bully. He got 3 middle-grade chaos spiritual treasures by chance. Although Qin Hao has worshipped an inexplicable supermaster since then, he has no regard for the chaos spiritual treasures. Everything is taken lightly. Chaos spiritual treasures are nothing, he has divine weapons. Although these 3 middle-grade chaos spiritual treasures are powerful, they cannot account for too much weight in Qin Hao's heart. On the one hand, Qin Hao, what's even better, on the other hand, is that he doesn't know how powerful these 3 middle-grade chaos spirit treasures are. The most important thing is that with his current cultivation level, he simply can't control their full power. The middle-grade chaos spirit treasures are used by immortals. Magical weapon. If mortal monks want to use it, they simply cannot exert its full power. And for monks like them, who stand among mortal monks and are still far away from the peak, it will take a long time to refine this middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure. Years. Otherwise, if it could be refined instantly, whether it was Qin Hao or Qin Lan who refined it, with their overwhelming strength, how could the various forces in the primordial realm dare to be so intimidating and presumptuous? But Qin Hao looked down upon it. At least he despises this middle-grade chaos spiritual treasure now. But this does not mean that Qin Hao can allow these old monsters to treat him like a soft persimmon and carve up his magic weapon wantonly. Junior, you are really ignorant. Hearing what Qin Hao said, he obviously didn't buy it. The old guy suddenly felt angry and wanted to be arrogant. They have the capital. Fantasy, after thousands of years of seclusion, I became a saint. Author, love to eat chicken legs. Chapter 517. Just because of Qin Hao, a mere Deluo with a late cultivation level dared to challenge him and others. It sounds good because a newborn calf is not afraid of tigers, but it sounds bad because it doesn't know what is good or bad. If it weren't for the Qin family's intimidating power, none of the 3 middle-grade chaos spiritual treasures would have been left behind. At that moment, the elders of the major forces looked at Qin Hao with sneers, as if he was already a dead man. And Qin Yu secretly laughed in his heart. This Qin Hao really didn't know what to do, so he could do whatever he wanted just because he was a genius. He is really a young man, he is indeed impulsive and easy to deal with. Now, he doesn't have to continue his calculations, and it's hard to protect him. However, I'm afraid the ancestors of the Qin family won't fail to protect him. Qin Hao, let all fellow Taoists search it, what's the harm? The ancestor of the Qin family was very worried. Such geniuses often have arrogant personalities, and indeed, Qin Hao is no exception. The key is that Qin Lan has regarded Qin Hao as the hope of the Qin family. If he were to perish here, Qin Lan would not be able to. We have to fight these old guys to the death. Now that our Qin family is weak, we will naturally have troubles in the future. If you practice well in the future, with your qualifications, you will have time to recover this debt. Qin Lan also knew that he was sorry for Qin Hao, but he had to do this for the sake of the overall situation and to save Qin Hao. Qin Hao naturally understood the thoughts of the ancestors of the Qin family. But he, Qin Hao, is arrogant. How can a person like this endure such cowardice? What's more, With his methods, no one needs to be afraid of him. At that moment, Qin Hao immediately raised his sword and said to the big forces, "If anyone wants a magic weapon and thinks he has the strength to win, then go ahead." After that, Qin Hao stood tall and proud. Facing the fierce murderous intentions in the field, he seemed to be walking on flat ground, at ease. After all, he, Qin Hao, also started from killing. To him, these murderous intentions are, it's just a trivial matter. Junior, your cultivation may be considered a genius among your peers, but you are so arrogant that you even try to challenge us. You really don't know how to live or die. Of these old monsters from all the powerful forces, which one has survived for hundreds of years and is still so powerful that he still stands at the top of the Hunyuan ancient world? Even on weekdays, the younger generation see no trace of them. The thought of resisting. Now this mere junior of the Qin family, who is only a late-stage Deluo, really thinks that he has the power to dare to challenge himself. At this time, whether it is the ancestors of the Ye family, or even the Ming family and other people, the old monsters of the big forces laughed one by one. This laughter was not only angry, but also a mockery of Qin Hao's arrogance. Qin Hao's behavior fell into the eyes of the big forces, and the eyes he looked at Qin Hao revealed pity and doubtful. Is this guy a fool, or is he mentally ill? But Qin Yu's face was stunned, but he was secretly happy in his heart. He was arrogant, but this just made him commit suicide. Only the ancestor of the Qin family still had some feelings in his heart. Doubtful, worried about Qin Hao's actions. But seeing Qin Hao's confident look, and thinking about Qin Hao's abnormal talent, I suddenly felt some hope in my heart. Could it be that this junior can really defeat these old guys? But thinking about it again, if this is the case, doesn't it mean that he is no match for Qin Hao, a junior, who has become the strongest man in the ancient world? At this time, even Qin Lan, the ancestor of the Qin family, couldn't help laughing. He really thought about it. Although Qin Hao's talent is powerful enough and unparalleled in ancient times, how can such things as combat effectiveness be possible unless it is tempered? And none of these old guys have hundreds of years of combat effectiveness, or are at the same level. Among them, they are also top existences. Qin Hao can roughly guess what these people are thinking. But he doesn't mind. On the one hand, he has confidence in his own strength. Even if he loses, he will not be killed. The means of escaping, said, I'm afraid there is no one above me in this ancient world. You want to take away my magic weapon, no wonder I'm cruel. Qin Hao thought, seeing these old guys laughing angrily and forgetting to fight him, he suddenly laughed and said, "Why, seniors, no one has come up to teach me, so why should I give this magic weapon to you again?" As soon as these words came out, the old monsters could no longer sit still and roared angrily. "What an arrogant boy, I'm here to teach you a lesson, boy, you are seeking death." The first person stood out from the masters, but he was an old man with white hair. He was dressed in light blue clothes and looked very graceful. "Little guy, this is Ming Ming, an old senior of the Ming family. He has a high level of cultivation and has long been a saint in the late Hunyuan period. Even I am not his opponent. You have to be careful and act within your ability." Qin Lan opened his mouth to give Qin Hao some advice, and there was a lot of care in it, which made Qin Hao feel grateful. At least in front of so many enemies, the ancestor of the Qin family could not give up on himself. This is Qin Hao's reason. Hao can also agree with him. After the ancestor Qin Lan said that, he said to Ming, "Me brother Ming, this junior is the leader of the younger generation of our Qin family. He is deeply loved by me. Brother Ming, you are the senior. I hope you will click until then, otherwise if something goes wrong as a junior like me, I will risk my life. Don't blame Qin Lan for not being loyal." As soon as these words came out, the old monsters from all the major forces were shocked. Qin Lan could actually say such cruel words for a junior. It seems that this junior is not simple. Snort. As long as this junior hands over the magic weapon, I won't argue with the naughty boy. Obviously Qin Ian's cruel words still have some effect. After all, at this level, no one wants to fight to the death, hurting both sides and letting others benefit. Junior, take action. Mingmi snorted coldly, and his whole aura condensed instantly. Qin Hao, who was in the center, felt that his body was condensed, and even when he moved, there was a majestic pressure. It was extremely terrifying. Feeling the old monster Mingmi, he released his momentum at will, but it turned out to be so terrifying. He was like a bird locked in a cage. No, he was stuck in a cage. Even every struggle was extremely difficult. Qin Hao was shocked. He thought that from this those who came out of the death illusion, whether in actual combat or cultivation, are top-notch in the entire Hunyuan ancient world. In fact, this is not wrong, but it does not mean that monks who have not stepped into the death illusion are weak. At least the Mingmi in front of me old monster, his cultivation in the late Hunyuan period must be powerful enough. And although his actual combat experience is not as good as Qin Hao's dozens of life and death training, but hundreds of years of training, it is no weaker than Qin Hao's. So at this moment, he opened up his momentum, thinking that he could be as good as Qin Hao in the early Hunyuan period or even in the middle Hunyuan period. Only then did he realize that he had underestimated these masters. But the arrow was on the string and he had to shoot. Fight. Qin Hao. What Hao is not afraid of most is fighting, he can afford it.